Now we've got some magnets to mess about with, which, you know, can be a bit disorientating again with looking at the instructions, right? Because, right, if we look at the engine cowl, that is facing upwards like so, but in the instructions they've got it like this. And then they've got magnets, and if you, oh, probably best I'll just show you the picture. As you can see, they've got the engine cowl upside down, and what they're saying is they want these magnets facing up, upwards. But you know, is it sort of like upwards with the engine cowl or upwards on the actual image or something? But then you do have these arrows, which I think that's what it's indicating. So I've gone with that. So I've got our first magnet in here, and if you look really sort of closely, you'll see like there's a little notch on it, and that's indicating the polarity, right? So that's facing upwards. Now if for some reason, you know, there is a bit of a muddle up going on here, right, doesn't matter, because these aren't glued in, they are screwed in. So if maybe, you know, the polarities are wrong or whatever, unscrew it and you can orientate the magnets as you wish, and it is quite simple. Just remember, we do have 3 magnets here. We've got one that has the polarity on the top flat, but then we've got one which as you can see is got a bit of a different sort of where the polarity is. Sorry, they're really sort of sticking together. As you can see, it's different sort of shapes. We want, for the middle piece, we want this more sort of bigger, flatter area, right? And that is going to go inside this one, and it needs to face on the inside, right? So for it to face on the inside, right, we need our little polarity marker facing out on this piece. So for this to face on the inside, we need to then just place this down like so, and hopefully it doesn't come out, which it did. But you get the picture. It's sort of, try not to sort of fiddle about with it too much. These are little fiddly bits. So after all that fiddling, hopefully you can see we've now got a little magnet just in there, and we're not seeing the polarity side, right? The polarity side's on the opposite side where it needs to be, and we just get our little screw in here, which, as always, turn the opposite way, lefty loosey, just to make sure we don't cross thread, and then righty tighty, and make sure this is nice and tight, and that then completes magazine 4. Now I'm sort of moving along with this build, and I've sort of shown you like the basics of gluing and that little bit of spraying and stuff. I'm sort of just going to sort of glue along now, sort of like those easy parts that don't really need sort of showing again, sort of the basics, just so we can move things along. Now what we've got here is, this is a little bit tricky, but basically we have these 2 notches just here, little holes just here. Nice little rectangular sort of holes, them 2. They need to line up with this. A little bit tricky to sort of get it in there, but you see these 2 little notches sticking out just there? We want to line them up, and this is where we start to get this motor that we've got here, and start putting all this lovely detail in and around it. So it's a little bit tricky to sort of line it up, but you should eventually sort of just nicely fall into place like so. And at this stage, good old Tamiya thin cement, just to sort of glue that in and start locking that in nicely. Maybe just push it down and make sure it's nice and level. Just want to get around to this side as well, because I haven't quite glued this side in. Now I must say, I mean, this is going to be one heavy model at the end of it, because I'm already sort of feeling the weight of this, and it's already really heavy, let alone bringing a whole model together. Alright, so just holding that in place just to let it sort of set a little bit. And then what we've got here, we've got another piece from this set. This is quite cool. Basically it sits on here, and then it'll just slide across, and it locks into the piece that we've already put on. Probably should let it dry a little bit more, but I'm just going to move along anyway and sort of show you. Right, and there we go. I'll probably just move along off camera, but basically what comes in next is this beauty is going to come in on top of there. Again, sort of pretty sort of self-explanatory as well. So that's magazine 5 all done and dusted, and that last little bit was just plain and simply to screw these 4 screws just in there. And as you can see, all that detail work starting to nicely come together in and around, which I've just glued. Just remember, you know, cutting off those cutting pieces off the sprue, just remember to sort of touch them up with some spray paint, or there was some little pieces in there which I did find was a really nice colour match actually. Storm Host Silver, right? If you want to just come along with a paintbrush rather than actually sort of spraying it, it's kind of up to you, but that's a nice colour match to the silver they've already got, because with the spraying I did, which was our aluminium, I sprayed it all over just to make sure that, you know, if there was a slight not quite colour match, then it didn't really matter because I was going to spray it all over. But if you just want to touch it up with a paintbrush, this is pretty spot on for a colour match for what they use. But then again, be careful, because you know what, some sprues might have a slightly different colour, because sometimes you kind of get that. But anyway, that's all nicely in there, nice little bit of gluing. Just as a quick note as well, these magnets are sort of working now, so we can actually, as you can see, lock in these bits of the engine cowl, and the magnets do really sort of work really well. Hopefully, as you can see there, not much on the gappage either side, really nice engine cowls. Also not sort of bad spray job as well. The decals on here are also looking really sort of nicely printed on also. As for the paint work, I mean, it is flat, right? I mean, we may work on that in the future and stuff, but be careful also, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of a test before, you know, we go off and do whatever, just see how sort of resistant the paint work is. So I did actually do a bit of sort of scratching, and you know what, I mean, you do sort of scratch at it a little bit and you can sort of get the paint work to come up. I don't know whether you're picking that up on camera, right, but that is sort of going down to the metal a little bit. Right, I don't know how well you can pick that up, but you might see, yeah, you can just about see that sort of bit of a sheen. It is going down to the metal, coming along with a nail and maybe scratching it. I mean, it does seem to be holding up to like scratching with a nail, right? But what I'm basically saying is, you know, be careful with, you know, where you put it, any tools or screwdrivers you're using, be careful you don't sort of scratch it, because I mean, some of you might be kind of spraying this afterwards, some of you might be just leaving the paintwork as it is, and you don't want to get scratches all over it. But it does seem to be, you know, not too bad on the resistance sort of level there. So let's move along with magazine 6. So magazine 6, now magazine 6 is kind of an easy one. I've already sort of shown you the simplistics of cutting sprues and stuff, and trimming them up and then gluing them on, making sure you kind of use either super glue or use the Tamiox twin cement, depending on, you know, whether you're gluing on plastic or metal. And basically it's just a lot of these little sort of plastic pieces that are going on, as you can see. I'm not going to sort of show you that. I don't want to sort of spend the whole of this like series just showing you these basics. If I can just like put it on and you already know how to do it, I'll just kind of crack on and move along, rather than showing you over and over again. So those are all nicely on. Also there is this here, we do have on the underside this nice little, I do believe that's the fuel or something. Oh no, it's engine starting plug, right there, nice bit of writing just on there, and that basically fits on here. Now this is metal on metal, so we need to use super glue, but let's not risk getting super glue on this lovely sort of painted area. What we're going to do is hold that in position, turn it up, right, I'm going to come at it from the back. Any situation where you can put your messiness on the back side somewhere where, you know, it's not going to be seen, always go down that route. So I'm just kind of blobbing in a little bit of super glue just at the back there, just to sort of, you know, lock that into place, so as we ain't going to get any mess on that side like that. And it does look like, I mean, there's probably more to come, but it does look like this is just going to nicely just slot into there like that, and our engine's sort of coming together. So the engine section is really nicely coming together, loads and loads of detail, as you can see there, looking pretty smart. Hopefully we'll sort of get that maybe finished in I don't know, something like episode 3 or something, but we shall see. Apart from that, that's episode 2. We're up to magazine 6. Hopefully you've enjoyed, hopefully you're building along quite nicely, and I'll see you in the next episode.